Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I was just getting ready to put up my ring light and go outside and start vlogging for the day, and I thought, why don't I just sit down and do a very, very quick Peterisms video. I think it would be good for me. And it would kind of balance me out a little bit, maybe bring me some, I don't know, serenity and peace and calm into my life, and love, which I could definitely use. So, let's get into it. Where are my reading glasses? They're right here. And I brought with me the Melody Beatty, The Language of Letting Go. And I also brought with me the Daily Book of Positive Quotations by Linda Picone. And I am first going to read The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty, because I really, really like the topic in the title, but I have not read this one yet today. It's kind of long though. Okay, July 14th, we are lovable. Isn't that such a hard thing to believe sometimes? You know, before I even get into this, I have to say that for so much of my life, I didn't feel that I was lovable, you know? And even when I came out and I started dating, I dated, you know, 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months, you know, here and there and whatever. And I dated some really great guys. I also dated some guys that really said some horrible things to me. I experienced a lot of verbal abuse, specifically from one guy that I dated. I dated him for about 6 to 7 months. And I mean, I look back and I think, if the person I am today could talk to the person that I was then at that time, he would never have tolerated that. Like, who I am today would never tolerate the way that I was spoken to then, you know? Isn't that so true? So much of life. And said so many hurtful things to me, just from like body shaming me. I can remember, I've talked about this in videos before, I can remember being on an escalator and his friends were behind me, and I mean, I at the time was like really thin. I'm like 5'10", and I was like 140, 145 pounds, and he looked at me like at my butt, and to his friend said, "Look how bottom heavy he is," and or something like that, and started laughing at me. And I can remember for the longest time, this wasn't when like having a big butt was real fashionable. I wish I had a super big butt today. I think it is, but anyway, but he, you know, looked at me and he said, like, look how bottom heavy he is. And they both started laughing at me. And for the longest time, like, I mean, for years and years and years and years and years, I can remember standing in the mirror and looking, and no matter how thin I got or whatever, it really added to my body dysmorphia of how I looked at myself. And it wasn't just that. I mean, he would say things to me. He would just stand there and just be like, you're so stupid. Like, and you know, I think a part of it was I was in my active addiction, so I allowed it. He also was the one that initiated a lot of, so the word I'm looking for, he introduced me to a lot of the drugs that I used. And so I look back on that, and that's not his fault. You know, I don't blame him for my drug use. Do I think that had it not been for him, I wouldn't have ended up using the things I did? I don't know. I probably eventually would have. Do I think I would have had a quick downfall? No. He was also somebody I was greatly obsessed with when I was in treatment. I was like, he and I had broken up like a month before, and I was like obsessed with wanting to know what was going on with him, you know? And I kind of had that relationship with guys for quite some time where I felt like I needed a man to validate me. I felt like I needed somebody, if I didn't have a boyfriend or I wasn't in a relationship, then what did that say about me? It said I wasn't lovable. And so I would take anything over not being lovable. And so I found myself in relationships with people that weren't healthy for me, you know? And then Alex and I started going to marriage counseling. And, you know, I remember our first counselor saying to us, if you and Alex didn't make it, would you be okay? And it's so funny because our counselor now, like, says these kind of things too. And I was like, I mean, I don't want us to break up. Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, I thought maybe he knew something I didn't know, you know? And he was like, no, I'm just asking, like, if you and Alex broke up, like, do you think that you would be okay? And I said, well, I would be really upset at first. He goes, but eventually. And I said, yeah, eventually I would be okay. And I was like, eventually, Peter, you would be okay. Like, you could make it through. And there would be a day where you would still be sad, but you'd be able to, you know, move through it and whatever. And he goes, so then what you realize is that you choose to be in a relationship with him and he chooses to be in a relationship with you, and that's more powerful. And I was like, oh my God, it really is, right? And so what I realized through that was I didn't need somebody to define my lovability. Was that even a word? I didn't need somebody to, say that I was lovable or that I was good enough or that I was worthy. I needed to be doing that work myself. I needed to realize you are lovable, you are worthy, you are good enough. And today I feel that way. I still struggle some days. Some days I wake up and I'm like, no, you're not. No, don't fool yourself. But other days I wake up and I think, yeah, you're doing okay. You're doing your best, So let's read this meditation, because that for me was a long process of getting to the point where I could feel lovable. So, okay, let's get to this. We are lovable, July 14th. Even if the most important person in your world rejects you, you are still real and you are still okay. Codependent No More, which is the follow-up book to, the Beyond Codependency is the follow-up book to Codependent No More. Do you ever find yourself thinking, how could anyone possibly love me? For many of us, this is a deeply ingrained belief that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Thinking we are unlovable can sabotage our relationships with coworkers, friends, family members, and other loved ones. This belief can cause us to choose or stay in relationships that are less than we deserve because we don't believe we deserve better. We may become desperate and cling as if a particular person was our last chance at love. I did this all the time. We may become defensive and push people away. We may withdraw or constantly overreact. While growing up, many of us did not receive the unconditional love we deserved. Many of us were abandoned or neglected by important people in our life. And I think for me, that was my peer group of growing up without any really close friends and being bullied at school. Many of us were abandoned or neglected by important people in our life. We may have concluded that the reason we weren't loved was because we were unlovable. Blaming ourselves is an understandable reaction, but an inappropriate one. If others couldn't love us or love us in ways that worked, that's not our fault. In recovery, we're learning to separate ourselves from the behavior of others, and we're learning to take responsibility for our healing, regardless of the people around us. Just as we may have believed that we're unlovable, we can become skilled at practicing the belief that we are lovable. This new belief will improve the quality of our relationships. It will improve our most important relationship, our relationship with ourselves. We will be able to let others love us and become open to the love and friendship we deserve. Today, God, help me be aware of and release any self-defeating beliefs I have about being unlovable. Help me begin today to tell myself that I am lovable. Help me practice this belief until it gets into my core and manifests itself in my relationships. Wow. Wow. What a powerful message and meditation. And probably one of the most powerful lessons I have had to learn in my life, and I'm still learning, I think this is part of remaining teachable, is that I just didn't feel good enough for so long, and I just was beat down. And it's always interesting to me because a lot of people go to childhood. And for me, my mom and dad loved me a lot, even with my mom in active addiction, I never questioned whether she loved me or not. I didn't understand why she would choose drinking over me, but I didn't question whether my mom loved me. And I was surrounded by my aunt and uncle and my cousin and, their family, the family friends and things like that. But at school, I was silent and quiet and didn't really have a lot of people with me and things like that. There would be moments in classes where I had, little friends here and there, but really it was just me. And I was really bullied and I was really put down. And I think over a period of a long time, it made me realize, well, if nobody likes you and nobody wants to be your friend, there has to be something wrong with you. What is it? And I think to some degree, when I started accepting the fact that, I was gay, I think I really struggled with that at first. First of all, it wasn't society wasn't accepting of that at that time. But I don't know that I can say that I hated myself for being gay, but I really took issue with it because of the fact that people didn't like me. And I figured it has to be about something. And since they had called me all these horrible names for so long that were derogatory of being gay, it had to be that. So when I realized, well, you're gay, I was like, oh, so, okay, this is why I'm unlovable, you know? And I think also in retrospect, like I can remember my counselor in treatment saying to me, don't you think being gay is part of like why you heavily use substances? And I was like, oh, no, not at all. I'm perfectly fine with it. In retrospect, I think it played a huge part in it, because going out to gay bars, being promiscuous, feeling, you know, sensual, you know, flirting with guys, like I had to be intoxicated to do that. Because I wasn't okay with myself, you know, at all. So, interesting meditation. It's taken me a long time to say that today I am lovable. And I hope that you guys feel that too. And I love you all very much. So, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.